Yeah. 45 minutes. 45 minutes
That's
tomorrow.
what it is. Okay.
Yeah. 45 minutes tomorrow. I mean, this season just got me thinking about, wanting to be out, wanting to sweat, wanting to get some, something good. I don't know. It's this time of my life that I'm in that I'm feeling like I need to maintain,
Yes, sir.
what I have worked for physically.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's
Yeah.
not to say, bro, I got issues here, there, but in spite of that, I feel like I'm in the best condition of my life.
Yo,
And
I'm
if
in,
I fall off, I'm going to have a relapse and not be where I worked for all this
hey,
time.
yo, when you going to go see Dr. Hopkins?
I got him this month of May. I got to go back, to kind of check everything to see. I've stayed the course of what he's recommended.
Big Ward.
What? What's up?
The first when Kevin went to go see Dr. Hopkins, right?
Right.
I remember talking to him. It was Friday, bro, when you went to go sing.
Yes.
He called me a little bit later. So, previously, like KD was in the gym. He's doing his box fit. He's doing what he got to do. Man, this dude was depressed.
Oh yeah. Yo,
you why? Disappointed?
Yeah.
After he saw Dr. Hopkins. Now he didn't, say that he was in horrible shape, but he just told him some things that he needed to add it, man.
Right.
I felt your pain. I was listening to you. I heard it in your voice, man. You sound like you lost a dog when you was telling me.
Yeah, man. He told me I was on the right track doing a lot of things that I need to do for my physical health. But in order to get out of that state of acidity, which causes a lot of the inflammation in our body, he told me what I need to do, gave me a long list of the things that I need to take. And I went to the natural health store out there in Philly, got those things, and I've been staying the course. So I'm anxious to see if there's been any improvement.
That's what's up.
Because I'm trying to live, brother. It just seemed like an urgency for me at 48 years old.
Right.
And it's not to say I got these major health conditions, but in order to maintain and to be better, I feel like it's urgent now that I do everything I can.
Absolutely.
To maintain where I'm at and get better. But yeah, I called Keith and I was slightly disappointed. Like my numbers is off, brother.
Lord, that thing was funny. I felt it, man, but I was laughing on the side. I said, I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah.
Oh man, we looking forward to today's show. We have Theo Spencer, Camden Mayoral candidate for Camden, New Jersey, who's coming to have a conversation with us tonight. We want to thank Theo for joining us on tonight and having this conversation with him, talking about his approach to what he'd like to do as the leader in Camden. Yesterday, we had Elton Custis on yesterday, who certainly, talked about, the same thing, his approach and, things that may be some hindrances to Camden progressing. And, Theo will certainly do the same thing and had this conversation. So if you can, everybody that's watching, share this podcast. Share it. Go to Just Our Thoughts fan page on Facebook. Go to Just Our Thoughts on YouTube. Go to JOT with the fellas on Instagram. Check out all our content if you can on all streaming services, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify. If you can, just check it out, download it, give us a review. To everyone that's watching, Sankofa, brother, Kat, and Rebecca right now, thank you for sending us
Sankofa, Lenny,
showing us some love.
Kat
today.
Rebecca.
Yes. So if you can, while we waiting for, hanging around, just share this podcast. We always want to give people time to get on and share the podcast. Traffic's been heavy today.
Yeah.
The weather is going crazy. What you looking forward to with this weather, man? You looking forward to anything?
Nah, I hate the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I really don't. I'm a winter baby. I like the cold. I like to be able to put a hoodie on, walk around with a hoodie or something like that. But I mean, today was beautiful. I can't complain about today. If it gets in, if it could stay like this,
Boy, I'm with you. I'm
cool. I mean,
87, 88, I don't want to do that. I'm good at like 80.
80 is the highest I would like it to go.
I sweat at the level of a dime.
It's so simple with this weather. Grab a t-shirt, throw some jeans on, and you out.
Man,
you ain't gotta look for that. You ain't gotta look for that matching a hoodie and an undershirt and all of that. You just get the tee and you go. You know, that's what I like about it. It's just so much more simple. When the weather warms up like this, everything's so complicated in the winter time and in the cold time. Oh man, well, it's just you, but you know, put 5 other people up in the crib.
Yeah.
It gets a little complicated, man.
I'd rather try to get warm than try to get cool.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Just Our Thoughts. I am your host, Keith Hall.
Yeah.
Welcome to Just Our Thoughts with the fellas. I definitely can't do this without my compadres. I definitely can't do this without my brothers. The Professor Kev. What's good, brother?
What's going on? What's going on? Man? Glad to be in the number, baby.
Glad to be in the number. Hey, you got your spin? I need something good for spin, man. I need something.
What you mean? What you mean?
I need a song. I'm gonna sing you something, man.
Send me a song. I take requests.
I
can spin off of anything. You give me.
I need something hard. I got you. My
playlist will be compiled by 1:30 tomorrow. So submit your requests.
I got you, bro. I got you. Warheen, what's good, Ward?
What's the deal? Everything, brother. Everything's good. Every day I'm vertical is a good day.
Yeah, I know that's right. That's right. And every day you behind that grill is a good day for me, man.
Coming soon, brother. Coming soon.
I can't wait. So today we have Theo Spencer. Theo Spencer is a business leader in information technology and currently seeking the office of mayor of Camden. Mr. Spencer was born and raised in the Parkside section of Camden and is the oldest of 2. With strong guidance from his father and mother's siblings, Mr. Spencer went on to become a scholar athlete, lettered in track and basketball at Camden High, and played in the marching band. Mr. Spencer was also a regular cast member of the teen talk show Wrap Around, televised by KYW and hosted by Yuki Washington. In 1994, Mr. Spencer graduated with honors from Camden High School and went on to receive a bachelor's degree in chemistry from Howard. In 1999, after college, Spencer started a career in information technology as a technology trainer and held several progressively responsible positions. At the urging of several coworkers that convinced him he could do very well as a consultant in 2004, he decided to study business at the Freeman Business School at Tulane University in NOLA, with intent of establishing a consulting business. Lastly, currently, Mr. Spencer worked as a vice president of software engineering at one of the world's largest banks. His past work experience includes some of America's most respected companies, including the Wall Street Journal, Bank of America, eBay, Accenture. His past roles have given him key business insights, leadership, and the skills to effectively manage the city of Camden. Theo. What's going on, man?
What's up, Theo?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Cool. Just wanted to make sure my mic was right.
Yeah, you good, man. Hey, Theo, would your window happen to be open?
Yeah, you want me to close it?
Yeah, I heard some
birds chirping.
Yeah, I heard some birds chirping. What was going on back there?
It sound like the beginning of "Can You Stand the Rain?" On a lonely day, I know that I can't count on you. Yeah, I thought Ralph Tresvant was about to come out.
We're in the city, so I'm in the city, so it wouldn't be long before the sounds of Camden came out, which is
man,
ambulances, people playing loud music, all that sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
Theo, man, thanks for joining us, Theo, on your campaign, on your run to become leader of one of the most loveliest cities in our country, the most beloved city in our country, man. Thank you for just taking some time out. We know that you guys are all busy, doing what you do and trying to make this push you know, and we want to appreciate, you know, you just spending some time with us and having this conversation, giving you the platform to speak your truth, to speak what's on your mind, to speak to the people of Camden that will be out there voting, you know, come June. You know, I didn't tell the fellas, I didn't get a chance to tell y'all, but I got a text, not a text, I got a message earlier from an older gentleman who I didn't get a chance to tell y'all, who he said, "Thank you, young men, for having your TV show yesterday." He's unable to get out to rallies and don't want to take a chance with COVID.
Right.
But this was his opportunity to get a chance to see even Elton yesterday speak his truth, you know, and he goes on to say, "I want to make the best decision for me in the city of Camden." So, you know, we don't take it lightly, the platform that we've created. And, you know, it is our responsibility to, you know, to give it to you guys. You know, it is our heart, you know, when it comes to the city of Camden. So thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we really take this platform. We don't take it lightly. It's a service that we really got to give, especially now in such a time of having to go out and vote, coming out of a pandemic a little bit to hit the polls and kind of figure this mayor race out, because there's a lot of questions, Theo, about this mayor race.
Well, let me, before we get started, I just want to point of clarification. So I will be running in the general election in November. I'm not participating in the primary in June. I initially signed up and I was all set to run in the primary. And then I talked to a couple of my advisors and I thought about it a little bit. And I thought running in November would be a better opportunity to get out and have an opportunity to win. So I withdrew from the primary to run in the general. But I still plan to run. I'm still doing all the same things in terms of getting myself together. It's just got a little bit longer timeline. The primary is a tough. I've run in the primary for mayor twice. Tough. It's really tough to kind of get things going and to do things. You get a little bit more support, I think, in the general election. So that's what I'm doing. So.
All right. Okay.
I'll still answer whatever questions you want. Anything you want to.
Okay. Yeah. The one thing that, you know, a lot of impoverished cities have been dealing with, for example, Georgia was a massive voter suppression movement that was going on during the presidential elections. And, you know, now that, you know, I think about our city of Camden, it kind of seems like we've been dealing with some tactics to suppress the people's votes as well as it pertains to this mayor race. It just kind of bewildered me about, you know, the sudden resigning of Frank Moran as mayor, and then to move to city council president, taking things over, and then our interim mayor being sworn in. The process, you know, was just a little bit confusing to me. In addition to that, for there almost to have been really I'm a resident here in the city, Parkside section, 48 years. I got no plans to go anywhere. Okay. So, you know, my vote matters, you know, when it comes to the primary and the general election, you know, but it just seems like I'm not the only one that didn't receive any type of notification of the vote or candidates. And it just appeared as if there was going to be an appointment of a mayor and not necessarily an election. What's your thoughts on the whole process thus far? That not just to me seems a little bit confusing, but to many of the residents.
Let me, and I know a lot of them are frustrated. I know probably 2 years ago when I was running against our interim mayor for city council, I ran across Ward's mom. I think she lives like 2 blocks behind me, and the frustration that she had was just palpable, you know. And it's just kind of like, I mean, and she was like angry, And I'm like, ma'am, it's okay. I didn't do it. It's not my fault.
Right.
But no. So there's a couple of things. First off, what's going on now has happened like 4 times before in the past. I just think a lot of us may not have been paying attention before because we were doing other things, but in our lifetime, you guys are all, I think, a little older than me. Randy Primus came in through a similar process. I believe he took over for Angelo Ericetti, and he basically kind of groomed as president to take over. When Randy Primus stepped up to work in the governor's office, Aaron Thompson was the president of the city council. I want to say the same thing happened with Gwen Faison. The same thing happened with Milton Milan. So this has happened before. The only difference is that the president of the city council did not want it. And I believe he retired. And, that's the part that's a little bit murky in regards to the city charter. The assumption is that the president of the city council will take it. But I think when the president of the city council stepped down, it kind of created this gray area where they just kind of filled it with whoever. I think with a lot of things in Camden, they kind of do things and then they figure it out later. I think that they always wanted Vic. They always wanted Mr. Karstafen for a number of reasons. We could probably get into those later. And so they just jumped the gun. And like if you notice the endorsement that he got as soon as they announced it, it was from Whip Wilson and from Angel Fuentes, 2 people who had long been rumored, and Whip had run for mayor before, and it had long been rumored that Angel Fuentes wanted to be mayor of Camden. So it's like symbolic to have 2 people that everybody knows want to run for mayor or had aspirations for mayor endorse Vic. My thoughts on it in terms of the process, a lot of this stuff is kind of designed. So like the reason why a lot of people don't get information about the election is about half the residents in the city of Camden are not registered Democrats. So like a lot of times what people do is they think because they voted for Barack Obama or Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden that they're a Democrat. You are not a Democrat. You're somebody that voted for Democratic presidential candidates. Democrats, there is, you are registered a Democrat. When they look your name up, D is next to it. And those are the only people that get information in the primary. Now, the reason why I say it was by design was because maybe 9 out of 10 people in Camden vote Democrat, but only half the people in Camden are registered Democrats. By moving to what they call a partisan election, meaning the party gets to pick who the nominee is, they basically were getting 2 votes for the price of 1.
So how do they move to that, though? How do they move to that?
People voted for it. Okay. And that's the thing that's the other thing. Most people in Camden, well, let me put it this way. A lot of people don't necessarily always understand what they're voting for and what they're voting on. And they have a way of making the things that you're voting on seem a lot more confusing than what they really are. So when nonpartisan came, so Camden used to have partisan elections. All of us are about the same age. Camden had an election in May, and then if you didn't get a certain amount of the vote, you had a runoff in June.
Yeah.
Well, what they played the poverty card, and they basically said, "Oh, Camden's such a poor city. We can't afford to have our own municipal election in May. If we switch it to a partisan election, we could save about $80,000 or $90,000, and we could make our elections coincide with the partisan election that goes on in the county and with the state." So basically, they basically said, "Look, you're so poor. We're going to save this $80,000 and $90,000, whatever it is." But what people didn't realize was they were disenfranchising half the city.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it started. Now, if you want to slide me your information after the show, I'll look you up. I've got the voter database on my computer, and I'll tell you whether you're a registered Democrat or. So that's the other thing. there are only basically 3 affiliations in the state of New Jersey: Democrat, Republican, and unaffiliated. Mm-hmm. So no matter what you register, you might have thought that you registered as a socialist or communist or in the Green Party or whatever, but those parties don't really exist. The state of New Jersey only recognizes 2 parties.
Right.
And they did that by design to disenfranchise all these fringe folks. Because what ends up happening is, if you're a Green, in November, if you go to the poll, who you going to vote for? There ain't no Greens out there. You're going to probably vote Democrat. And so that's kind of, so it's one of the many things, but I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it really did. I mean, it seems to be a purposeful convoluting, to disenfranchise the voters here. But I just got a real quick follow up, and kind of on the same lines that you've been dealing with. One of the questions I asked Elton on yesterday, I threw a word at him about autonomy. And when we look at Camden City Schools, state involvement, when we look at Camden City just a few years ago, state takeover, when we look at the Camden City Department of Finances, there was a fight in court so that it wouldn't be county controlled.
Well, no, the lieutenant governor vetoed.
Right.
But I don't even think it got to court, but
okay.
I'm sorry.
Right. But still, my point is that how can a mayor effectively get into that office knowing that everything around him or her is being controlled by persons that don't reside in the city, making decisions for the city? How can you effectively implement your vision or your plans for the city knowing that your resources are limited?
Well, my plan for the city is to actually manage the city. Like I know a lot of people, they have these, sort of grandiose visions about, putting the chicken in every pot and all that sort of thing. But that's not what the mayor actually does. The mayor's role and responsibility is actually, it's like the example I like to give is like managing McDonald's. Like the manager of McDonald's job is not to flip burgers, is not to, serve up fries. It's to make sure that all the people that are responsible for doing that have the resources that they need and all the supervision that they need in order to do that. And that's kind of what the mayor is really a manager of the city. And so when you start to talk about, autonomy and all those other resources, some of that stuff is what city council does. And that's why people need to pay attention to who they're voting on at city council. Some of those things the mayor has some say in, but he's not really directly involved in, like the school district. Like for instance, I believe that our school district should be controlled by residents. Now, the mayor has no real, influence in that other than the bully pulpit of saying, hey, this is what I like. Now, I'm a strong advocate of the city or residents retaining the school board. So yes, I'm going to take that bully pulpit probably a lot further than what everybody else would. I've been an advocate for years that the city needs to have a lawsuit. And I think that in the case, I don't want to, I served on the school board for 3 years, so I really know a lot of school board issues. And if you want to have me back on the school board at some point, I would love to talk to you about the school board. But in my opinion, like the residents of the city of Camden should be suing the state because the state took over your school system. And in my opinion, they haven't done any better than what you did. But but the part of the problem is also there's 2 different arguments, right? People in Camden are arguing about educating the children. The other people that have control are arguing about the resources that educate your children. Totally different thing.
Right.
You arguing about, what book your kid has. They arguing about the $350 million that in part pays for the book. And because of that disconnect, what ends up happening is you got a lot of people up and down and upset about a bunch of different things, but they arguing about stuff that ain't nobody really talk. That ain't where it is.
Right.
The real question is, how do we control this $350 million?
Right.
The reality is, I was telling somebody, I was just like, when you start talking about economic development and you start talking about economic empowerment, how do you think that happens? People that live outside this community have been economically empowered by delivering services to your school system. That's how they got all the money.
Right.
You know, there were people in the city of Camden that had insurance contracts. And there was people in the city of Camden that could perform the legal services and that sort of thing the school board needed. But, you know, an entrenched interest, I'm not going to mention the name, it's like Voldemort, you know. But basically, they decided, well, we want that money to go to somebody else. And I'm going to put the people on the school board that make that happen. There's no reason with a $350 million a year budget that you ain't got 4 or 5 millionaires walking around Camden. Delivering the same services somebody outside your community delivers.
Exactly.
Theo, on the same thing, if we could stay right there on the same thing, we joke with Ward a lot about his part in building Camden High. And he explains to us
what I'm talking about.
What'd you say?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So
like you do concrete work and stuff, right, Ward?
No.
That
was my dad.
Oh, okay.
I'm an electrician.
Yeah. So and Ward explains to us about the design of the school, and because he's there every day for hours a day. And he explains to us about the design of the school and how it's looking. And for us, and for me, I can speak for me, I can't get it. I don't understand it. If you could touch on that, and what is the school supposed to look like? How is it supposed to service our kids?
Well, that's the thing, and that's the thing that I was talking about in terms of, you know, like essentially, and I can talk a little bit more history about this. Camden High was in disrepair. There was a lot of things wrong with the building. Right. I was one of those people that held on to thinking, well, it's a historic landmark and all this other stuff, but there was a lot of reasons why Camden High had to come down, because you know it you know there was, I mean, it was in disrepair, and there was a lot of things that really were difficult and would have been very, very expensive to fix. At that time, though, our community wanted to fight over whether we should restore that building or not, when the state, who basically pays for everything, was basically saying, look, we are not going to continue to fund this as an academic institution. So at that point, as a community, you need to say, all right, well, what will you fund? Because nobody in Camden was coming up with $120 or $130 million to build a new school. The city didn't have the money to do it. So, but because you had this argument over, and there was a lot of different arguments. One of the arguments was over whether we restored or not. You had another argument over, because of the reputation that Camden High had recently, it was just kind of like, well, I go to Brim and I want to maintain the brand of Brim or creative arts. What I tried to explain to all of them was, if you come from Camden and you're in the Camden public school system, outside of this city, nobody differentiates based on what school you went to. They all, for the most part, look the same, and that's charter schools as well. So you fighting over a name that outside of this city means nothing to anybody. It's not going to be the difference between you getting into Harvard and Cheney. You know, it's just not. And I had this discussion with somebody the other day. I said, well, we were talking, and they were like, well, I was trying to explain to them. I said, listen, how many National Merit Scholars has any high school in the city of Camden produced in the last 10 years? I don't know of any. How many perfect scores on the SATs has anybody got? I don't know of any. How many people have scored 3 or better on advanced placement tests? I don't know of any. And I was trying to explain, these are the things that people that are really, really ranking schools and talking about a rigorous education, that's what they're ranking it on. Right. And if you ain't doing any of those things, then, so, I mean, but in terms of the design of the school, part of the problem was there was a lot of arguments over the design, who should have input, who shouldn't. And basically what happened and what traditionally happens in Camden is we'll let y'all argue. We'll give you an opportunity to say what you want.
Right.
It's going to devolve into an argument because a bunch of people that don't know what they're talking about are going to be arguing over stuff they don't quite understand. And then we'll come in and we'll provide the state with what they want in the first place. And we'll get whatever we wanted. So like the state want to know, what's the academic program going to be? How many students are you going to house? Right. And this is all stuff that people like. If you're saying, well, I want to maintain the brand of Brim, then that means that you're not going to add your numbers into the numbers of Camden High.
Right.
So now you're not going to get a school. So to me, a lot of it's going to be sort of a mess because
big time.
Because on paper, they are saying, oh, well, Camden High is going to be 1,200 kids at the max. But you know as well as I know, people in Camden don't really care about the academic program. They care about putting their kid in the newest thing ever. And so Camden High is going to be that new thing. They're going to have 2,000-3,000 kids that want to go in.
Right.
And it's not built to accommodate all those kids.
No. Okay.
And there's not money coming down the pike to do something with Woodrow Wilson. There's not money coming down the pike to do anything with Brim. Creative Arts is really Morgan Village Middle School. So, you had a lot of people that meant well, but weren't really willing to make the tough decisions. And that's where you kind of run into what you got now. But it's a mess.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, Theo, just to hang your hat on that school issue. Do you feel that public schools at this point are just a thing of the past as it pertains to Camden?
No, I think I'm not anti-charter. But I'm anti what charter has done in the city of Camden. And I don't like how it's been weaponized against people.
Explain that, Theo, if you can.
Well, weaponized in terms of these charter schools are a weapon now to get funding from the public school system. That's really what they are.
Yeah.
Education-wise, they're giving your kids about the same thing. The word that you'll hear in a lot of circles is material difference. So if you go to Leap Academy and you got a 62 on the test, and I went to Camden High and got a 60 on the test, the kid at Leap Academy did better. We still both got a D. Right? So is it a material difference between one or another? Like, no.
Right.
But because Leap got that 62, they're going to be able to say, see, we're doing better than the public school. Give us more money. And they're weaponizing education against poor people. And the thing is, charter schools really are designed, the legislation is really designed to be very, very helpful in a situation like Camden. It's just that in Camden, we oftentimes don't empower the people that would know how to make it work for us. Instead, what happens is the people that know how to write the grants to get all the money, they go and they take it and they do whatever they're going to do with it. But, that's really what it is. But like right now, Camden needs a charter school for vocational education. Charter legislation is designed for you to do that because, like, you don't necessarily have to have the same certifications as a regular school. Because let's face it, if you're an electrician, if you're a bricklayer, if you're a carpenter, what's the chance that you got a bachelor's degree and can get a teacher's license?
Right.
But in a charter situation where you can operate under a master teacher or a master principal, and you can put, that's what it's for. If you're an adjudicated youth, like we can craft a pro. If you're a teenage parent, we can craft a program in a charter system that would help you out. It's very, very difficult in a public school system. The public schools are really designed for a certain type of kid.
Right.
You don't fit that profile. And the thing is, most of our kids fit that profile. So basically pull out the kids that you know need extra resources and put them in the charter program. But the way that charters are evaluated is kind of like, because of the way the charters are evaluated, it is in their best interest to take your best students. And that's why charter schools siphon off the best students, because at the end of the day, the state is looking at who passed the test. And we know the teenage parent is probably not going to pass the test. We know the adjudicated youth is probably not going to pass the test. So kick them back in the public school program. You know, that's and they've got a lot of ways to do it. You know, it's like, well, in the charter school, we're going to meet with your mom and dad twice a week. Well, most of these kids ain't got parents that they can meet you twice a week. Then you start getting on all these sort of alerts and all these demerits and all these sorts of things. And then all of a sudden, we cycled you out.
Right.
That's crazy. Man, we would love to have you back another time to talk all about this school stuff, because I would like to go into a full conversation over that one day.
Oh, absolutely.
But we're gonna I want to move to something a little different right now. You know, with all the reconstruction and the new look of Camden, you know what I mean, as far as let's start taking some of these properties and let's tear them down and build something new, and then all of a sudden now the people that they displace can't even afford to move back into the city because of, you know, these new properties. The rent is so high, it's ridiculous. Can you touch on the so-called gentrification of the city?
Well, I will say gentrification in our community is a dirty word. And I will say it's only dirty if you don't control the gentrification. You know, gentrification is a dirty word if you don't own a house. So the question should be, how do we get more of our people to own houses so that you can take advantage of, you know, because let's face it, there's no place in the region that you're going to get a house cheaper than Camden. And we need to do things to make resources available so people can get a house.
Right.
You know, but gentrification is a more complicated topic. There's a lot of things going on. I have been on record saying I don't believe Camden is really, really being gentrified. I think something more insidious is going on. I think what's going on is we want to make people look, we want to make it look like Camden is desirable so we can use it as a magnet to suck out all the people that the region does not want.
Whose way, Theo? You said we want to make. Whose way?
The county. The county needs a trash can for all of the undesirables in Collinswood and Audubon, Oakland.
We see it all the time.
So what you're going to see happen is they're going to give you a few nice houses, but they're going to load you up with all the social services. So the methadone clinic, the welfare office, we're going to find a way to put that in Camden. That all the welfare folks, you know, they ain't got to go far. You know, I mean, that's really, and the other thing is when we talk about gentrification, you're thinking about a model of cities that's, you know, 10 years old now, 20 years old now. You know, now that we're going through COVID, you see a mass exodus from the city center. So like when you look at New York, it's people that are leaving New York to live in Vermont. You know, because New York was so expensive. So what you're going to see is a lot of people, like if you know, 30 years ago, if you worked in Philly, but you lived in Cherry Hill, you would want to live in Camden because it was a closer drive into Philly. But that same person that lives in Cherry Hill now, they can work remotely. So so if I've got all these amenities out in Cherry Hill, what do I need to live in Camden for? You know, so I mean, so there's a lot to it. I would say my personal thing though is I want to do something with housing in Camden. Okay. I think we have an inventory of housing that could be affordable housing for a lot of people. When we look at, when we talk about people, oh, well, I want to start a business. Well, where are you going to get the business? Where are you going to get the capital to start the business? My father owns Stanley Memorial Chapel. The reason why he was able to get the money that he needed to start that business because he borrowed against his house in Pensacola.
Right. Okay.
So the reality is, you want to send your kid to school. Where are you going to get the money from? You borrow against the value of your house. So my niece and nephew think I'm rich. I'm not rich. My mom invested in a house that I still live in.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. So when we start to talk about gentrification, we really need to be more. We need to start really thinking about more in terms of economic development and empowerment of our own people. We really need to start thinking about, well, if I as the mayor can do something that starts the process of getting these homes on the roll, because there's like 7,000 abandoned houses in the city of Camden. Yeah. And they're not all beyond repair. If I could do something that gets that process started, well, now Ward can go out and start his electric contracting firm. When I get code enforcement working, going out and checking people's homes, guess what? People going to sometimes need an electrician.
Yeah.
I want to give you a list of all the Camden electricians that you can go to. That's how it really works. That's how other communities do it. We've oftentimes been put in a position where that's not how we think. Right. We oftentimes don't empower the people that will put us in a position to do that.
Hey Theo, I want to step away for a second and ask actually one of our brothers, Marcus Boyd. He asked a question. Mostly all state social services, whether it's probation, child support, DCP&P, have moved out of the county seat to Cherry Hill. Any thoughts on why that happened?
I think it was a space thing at a certain point, but Cherry Hill fought that for a long time. Like I want to say, the Social Security office is out there behind ShopRite, and they fought like hell to keep that out there. And it was like, this is basically an abandoned piece of land. Like there's no bus that runs out there or anything like that. So there's a lot that's been going on in the county. There's a lot particularly going on in Cherry Hill, and that's kind of like why I try to pay attention to everything that goes on in this region, because if you're not paying attention to what's going on out in Cherry Hill and Westmont and Haddonfield, you have no idea what they're going to do in Camden. And a lot of the money, like I know you guys are probably going to ask me about a supermarket at some point.
You can go right into it.
Finish that point. Finish that
point. If you're not paying attention to what's going on in the county, you have no idea what's being served up for the city. And like there have been some fights going on because there's been this argument that Camden cannot take all the poor and impoverished from the entire region and just stick them in what used to be Branch Village. So there has been, because of space and other things, Cherry Hill has kind of come on the map because Cherry Hill has some plots of land that are, basically sort of, they're not really accessible. So you ain't going to get random Camden people getting off the bus and walking over there, which is, I think, their fear. But in terms of like the supermarket, that is something that comes up quite a bit. And, one of the things that I think the supermarket is sort of emblematic of a lot of what goes on in Camden. I remember I went to an event in 2013 where there was money available for these things called transit villages. I'll give you a little history. There was these things that were going on. Barack Obama had made money available for transit villages. What this was to do was anywhere there was mass transportation, they wanted to basically make that the center of services. And so that's where a supermarket came up, and apartments and all that sort of thing. Westmont, Haddonfield got the money, and when you go down Haddon Avenue, you see the lumber yard. You see how they redeveloped Haddon Avenue. Camden never got off the ground. Well, why? What happened? Well, one of the things that they wanted to do is they wanted to put a supermarket in Ferry Station. They wanted to put it right at Ferry Avenue, and they wanted to put a fresh grocer there, and they were going to use that money to sort of revitalize Ferry Avenue. Sounds good. The problem is a lot of our politicians didn't understand the economics of a grocery store. Grocery stores aren't there to feed you; they're there to make money. And Camden, for a lot of reasons, is not a viable market for a lot of grocery stores, and I'll tell you why. So, like, you'll notice if you go to Wegmans, if you go to Walmart out in Deptford, if you go to ShopRite out in Lawnside, as soon as you walk in the door, what do you see? You see their prepared food section. If you walk in Acme, if you go to Acme and Audubon, Acme basically rearranged the store to expand their prepared food section and move it right at the door.
Right at the door. That's right. Yeah.
That's because grocery stores make their money off of prepared foods.
Prepared foods.
They buy chicken for $1, sell it to you for $7. Season it up, sell it to you for $7. So what happened is, if you're a grocery store, so like one of the things that you can't buy if you on food stamps is prepared foods, right? So if you're a grocery store, what you're going to do? You're going to look at Camden as a market, and you're going to see that 90% of the kids in Camden school system qualify for free or reduced lunch. What does that mean? That means their parents are probably on some sort of assistance,
right?
Which means they're not going to be able to buy prepared foods.
Right.
How I make money.
Right.
So when they came through with the Transit Village, the only way you was going to get a grocery store is if the state subsidized it in some way. So basically, the state had come in and they came in with this idea: we'll give you like 5 years worth of money to build this grocery store. So they was basically going to build the grocery store plus subsidize the workers just to give Camden a grocery store. All right, okay. Well, then what happens is the Brown family, who owns the ShopRite, or not Brown, Ravitz, the Ravitz family that owns the ShopRite over in Cherry Hill, they said, you know what? We want to open up a big grocery store in Camden. We're going to open it up in a floodplain or we don't qualify for the economic development funds that the other grocery store is going to get. We're going to use some back channels to get the legislators to rewrite the law to allow us to qualify for something we ordinarily would not qualify for, and open up basically the biggest grocery store in the area. And they did it to scare away Fresh Grocer, who wanted to open up in Ferry Avenue. So basically, in an election year in 2013, Dana Red gets to go out and say, yeah, we're going to have 2 grocery stores in Camden. And people don't realize that one of those grocery stores was going to be edged out by the other grocery store who had no real interest in moving in Camden anyway. So ShopRite said they're going to open up something. They didn't even put up a sign out. They said we're going to open up something. Fresh Grocer said, well, if they're in Camden, we can't be in Camden either. We moved out, and that was it. But the other part that you had to also talk about was when we started talking about supermarkets and the keyword food desert, you have to understand you are imposing your idea of diet on people. So when we start talking about the supermarket, what we're really saying is, I don't like how Keith eats, and I'm going to impose what I believe he should be eating on him. And so one of the big problems in Camden is we have not done anything to really, at the school level,
right,
say, hey, this is what you need to eat.
Right.
This is how you cook Brussels sprouts and green vegetables.
I want a Panzerotti, Theo.
Right, like when we were all in school, we had home economics.
Right.
You learned how to cook.
Miss Foster in Northern Village Middle School.
Right. Well, where do you learn how to cook now? Your mom got 2 or 3 jobs. She ain't cooking.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you are served by the Chinese
store.
The other thing is, the people that value a supermarket in Camden won't shop in Camden anyway.
Why is that? Why do you think that? Why do you think that? Why do you say that?
Because that's what people tell me.
Yeah.
I mean,
really?
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, there are a lot of our folks.
I wouldn't. Theo, I agree, because, you know, and it's not even about ShopRite or Wegmans if they were to open there, but it's the population that you serve. You know, we don't have our population don't have a good reputation. And when you know, a lot of people don't want to go to Walmart in Cherry Hill. They rather go to Walmart in Somerdale because of the type of people that's employed there, and the type of people that shop there can be somewhat chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
It's perception.
And so the way that I would, so there's a couple ways that I would address that. I think the first thing that, if you really want to get a supermarket in Camden, I think the first thing that you have to do
is it worth it though? If after listening to
absolutely.
It is okay.
Absolutely. But I think what you have to do is you have to be on a path and a track to expand the population of the city of Camden.
Mm-hmm.
I think Camden is mismanaged right now. And I think under the proper management, you could probably double the size of the city of Camden. And think about what that means. That means you're bringing in a tax base, you're bringing in homeowners, you're bringing in people that are paying property taxes in the city of Camden. And I think if we went from a city of about 80,000 to 160,000 people, people would be beating down the door to open up a grocery store in Camden without needing all the incentives and all the other things. So I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it is our schools have to teach our kids how to live. And by live, I mean learning how to cook and eat their proper foods so that our kids can make the proper demands on their grocery store. Because quite honestly, right now, all things being equal, if you open up a grocery store in Camden, people would just go there and have a better variety of the food you don't want them to eat anyway.
Right.
You know, and that's the reality.
Right.
You know, our folks eat a lot of high processed, high, very calorie dense, sugary, fatty foods.
Yeah.
Lots of preservatives. And the bodega only gives them a limited, selection of that. If they have a grocery store, they just have a larger selection of it. It still be killing them.
Right. Yeah, and Theo, you talked about the children and schools. A lot of children don't eat unless they go to school. Yeah. They are dependent upon what the school feeds them early for breakfast, lunch, snack, and things like that, because they won't get a dinner. Many children, and the pandemic, kind of, made put that on the spotlight even more. It's good that there were a lot of schools that were bringing the food to some of the homes, a lot of the residents in Camden from the schools. That was a plus, because a lot of children wouldn't have been eating if they were not attending school.
I think the other part of that is, from a operational side, the district is getting all this food. Kids that qualify for free and reduced lunch, that have filed all the paperwork, you got to get the money, you got to get the lunch to them some way, because there's a bunch of fines and other stuff that go along with that if you don't do it.
If you don't,
I think it's good that they were feeding folks, but there was another side of that as well. Like, like, what are they going to do? They can't keep getting this food in, and it'll go bad and all this other stuff. So it served a couple of purposes, but I think, and one of the reasons why I'm running for mayor is I think I want to have a holistic approach about the city of Camden because I'm somebody that's benefited from everything. Like I was in summer band. I was in citywide band during the school year. I participated in Keith and a bunch of the guys that I went to Camden High. I knew them from summer band at Morgan Village. You know, I didn't get on a plane. The first time I got on a plane is because I was playing basketball for Camden High. You know, there's a lot of opportunities that I got in Camden, and I just want to be one of the people that ensures that the systems are in place for other kids to take advantage of that. Because there's another Theo Spencer out there that, you know, could go one or another way. You know, I lost my mom when I was 12. So, you know, I was very fortunate that I was in Camden because there were so many teachers who at that time either went to school with my mom or they just, because they knew or read or heard about my situation, took me under their wing. And that is missing now.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that want to step in aren't people that have that experience. And if you don't have that experience, what can you really do for a city like Camden that has these needs, you know?
Right.
Well, Theo, I work with your I work with your you know, I work with your uncle Oscar.
Yeah.
I worked with him. Definitely a fun, loving guy to work with, you know. And every time I saw him, and we worked for the at the time, you know, we worked in the city, and we worked with some. They weren't even at risk. We worked with some tough young men, and Oscar was able to relate to them, you know, in such a way. They knew him. They would come, guys that was released would come back to see him. You know, he stayed in the city. He lives in the city.
He lived down the street from it.
Yeah. So, and they would see him all the time. You know, and it's so indicative of how important it is, you know, to continue those relationships. So, you know, you definitely make a great point when it comes to that.
Coach Thames was like, you know, like Coach Thames made it. He was my mentor. He's the reason why I have a degree in chemistry. You know? And he made it a point when he taught in the Camden City Public Schools. He consciously said, if this school district pays me, they're good. If they're good enough to pay me, they're good enough to educate my child, and it's good enough for me to live here.
Right.
And that was. I mean, you know.
Right.
So, I'm a big advocate of that.
Yeah. Well, speaking about having, you know, doing things for the city, you know, we got all these businesses that are coming into Camden with the tax-free incentives.
Worst thing ever happened.
I kind of agree with you. Do you have any like plans of trying to bridge that gap with the tax, you know, the tax gap that that they're facing in Camden, as far as, you know, because we're not seeing any tax revenue because a lot of these businesses aren't even employing our Camden residents.
$11.5 billion.
And if they are employing Camden residents, it's not for long because they leave.
Right. Yeah.
So I think so. There's a couple of things there. I think first off, my job as mayor is to make Camden as attractive an opportunity for people to live here. Like you can't force people to live in Camden, but what I need to do is I need to make things as attractive as possible. In terms of the tax abatements, I think it is. I've been following politics in Camden for 30 plus years. And a lot of what happens is, you know, the county and the state solve one problem by creating another problem. And the tax abatements are that sort of thing. And what those tax abatements ended up being was a slush fund for political interests. I'll give you an example. I used to work for, I had a project that I was on at State Farm, and I was in Bloomington, Illinois. And they decided that they wanted to branch out from Bloomington, and they were looking for places that had a traffic. They were looking for places that had decent public transportation, that were near, sort of major city, that they could branch out to. So they branched out to Phoenix, Arizona, Dallas, and they moved right on the train line in Dallas, and they basically built a headquarters on top of a train line in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, well, Camden's near a major city. Camden has a train line that you could build a building on top of, a ferry station. Like, why did nobody go out and say, now, guess how much money in economic incentive dollars did Sandy Springs offer to State Farm to move right outside of Atlanta to be on the train line? I looked it up. It might have been like $120 million. Mm-hmm. And this is for an opportunity that brought like 5,000 jobs to the Atlanta area. Mm-hmm. 5,000 jobs. Mm. They wasn't going to fill those with all people that left Bloomington, Illinois.
Right.
So part of the problem is we haven't empowered the type of political leadership that understands what these companies are thinking about and what they're interested in terms of making a city like Camden attractive. Mm-hmm. And basically the tax abatement is the last resort. Mm-hmm. Like you are not a very attractive city. So what we're going to do is if you pay us, we'll come. Mm-hmm. And that's basically what these abatements, and when the money's gone, and they're all, from an accounting perspective, they're all sort of phased in a way that when the abatement is gone, they're gone. Mm-hmm. Look what the Philadelphia 76ers did when the governor threatened the abatement that they weren't eligible for in the first place. Mm. The Sixers, a lot of people don't realize it. The Sixers took their abatement. Well, let me put it back. The abatements were designed for businesses that will one day generate revenue. Mm. Sports franchises, by design, are not designed to make money. So the Philadelphia 76ers are structured in a way not to make money. Therefore, they will never pay taxes. Mm. So the abatement that they got, they were able to package and basically say, well, we got $80 million in abatements. Mm-hmm. Will you give us $50 million or $60 million in real cash for an abatement you can use over the next 10 years? Mm-hmm. So they took that money and they built their building. And the governor, when the new governor came in, he said, wait a second, those abatements weren't designed for that. We want some of the money back. Okay. Look what the Philadelphia Sixers started saying they're doing. Oh, well, we're looking at going back over to Philly. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, well, what is that going to do for the building that that you got over here? Right. Like, what are we going to do with that? Right. So, I don't know exactly what we can do about the current abatements that are in place. Mm-hmm. I know that moving forward, as the mayor, one of the things that I'd be doing is making sure that the community is well apprised of what these abatements mean, what you're giving up, what all the ins and outs and the particulars. And with city council, because that's really a city council issue. Okay. With city council, because the entire city council that you have, or the council that has been approving these things, and people don't understand that unless you vote for somebody else than the people that are on the Camden County Democratic Committee, then that's what you're gonna get.
Right, right. And Theo, I hear you talking about making Camden attractive for people to come here.
Camden is attractive.
Camden is attractive, right?
It's just that we haven't empowered the type of political leadership that has a vision to make it attractive.
What does that? Yeah, what does it take for that to happen, though? Because I feel like it's been decades. It just takes for that to happen. I'm sorry.
It takes people. It just takes people voting, right? Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like the voters in Camden are the problem to a certain degree, right? Because it's like what happens is, and when we go back to voter suppression and how things go, what happens is we're in a now we have partisan primaries, and in the partisan primary, the voter tends to be older. It tends to be your mom, your grandma, in their 60s and 70s. And why are they voting? They're voting because they believe it is a right. Do they know who they're voting for? 9 times out of 10, no. Right. And when they get that ballot, they just see column 1, and they see Democrat, and then they vote for it. They don't even realize everybody on the ballot's a Democrat. And so you're behind the 8 ball there, because once your older voters do that, when you get to November, now there's one person with a Democrat under their name. And your choice is between the Democrat and whoever.
Right.
And if you vote Democrat and you think Democrat, what are the chances that you're going to vote for whoever?
Anything? Yeah. That other column.
So like my Uncle Oscar, when I was a kid, my Uncle Bill, they used to take me, when I was a kid, they would take me and they'd take my hand like this, and they make me smack myself in the face with it. That's what Camden voters are doing right now. You smacking yourself in the face with the political decisions that you're making. Right. But I think because of Black Lives Matter, because of George Floyd, because of a lot of these things, I just think a lot more people are paying attention now.
Okay.
And they're starting to understand. And because of you guys, different videos and stuff that I post on my Facebook page, people are now starting to come back and they're saying, I understand now. I see what's going on. I'm ready to do something different.
Right. Let me drop another bomb on you, Theo.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about drugs for a minute.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about drugs.
I don't
I mean it. So we got the opioid issue in Camden. I mean, some nights you go down Broadway, it looks like Night of the Living Dead.
You got that mean.
And the majority of them are not from the city.
Absolutely right.
And you got a methadone clinic that's been problematic, from where it was housed in the old Rite Aid building, and now it's going to move on down Atlantic Avenue somewhere. So that to me is, something that's problematic, confusing, doesn't seem like it has any direction as it pertains to how you're going to treat these drug addicts. And if a methadone clinic in the city is an ideal solution, that's my first part I want you to talk about. Then number 2, what are your thoughts about recreational marijuana and the business of it and the money attached to it being something? Think innovative and out of the box now, Theo. I see you shaking your head, but see that if it.
There's so much in there. Go ahead.
All right, but as much succinct as you can. But with the marijuana piece being recreational coming into law, is that an option to bring some form of jobs, business to the city of Camden, and is it a good idea?
All right, so a couple of things. In terms of, this is how I feel. I feel everybody deserves a chance to get off drugs, and everybody deserves the opportunity to get cleaned up and get help. Why Camden is the only place that seems to be happening, or it seems to be the only place people want to make that happen, that's a different story. And so from my perspective is, there's some folks that are drug addicts that are in Camden, but they ain't all from Camden, and the entire region needs to share the load.
Yes.
And so like Cherry Hill, you need to do your part. Morristown's Burlington County, but Pennsauken, Oakland, some of these other, y'all need to do your part. This is not
well, they fought against the methadone clinic coming anywhere else, but staying in Camden.
And I look.
No, we do have one. But
that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that methadone clinic was supposed to move out of the city.
Right. And I thought it was. It's supposed to move in on Cuthbert.
It got dumped back on us.
Listen, if it were me, and I'm sure what I'm telling you right now is probably illegal, but if it were me, on Friday and Saturday nights, I would have the Camden City Police. That's another story. Y'all can have me come back later on. I had a Camden City Police posted up on Kane Avenue at all the because there's only like 7 or 8 thoroughfares in and out of the city of Camden.
Yeah.
I'd have them posted up.
Yeah.
And if you leaving outside of Camden, if you leaving Camden at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning on Fridays and Saturday night, we know what you was in Camden doing. Now we following you home and we running your tags and we doing the same thing that y'all did to me. I'm going to do to you.
Right.
Some profiling, Theo?
Huh?
Some profiling?
No, that's not profiling. That's good police work. That's good police work. But they do it to me.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've gone out to Oakland, made a wrong turn on the White Horse Pike, and all of a sudden, they Pensauken. What the Pensauken? They posted up at the pub on Friday night.
Right, exactly.
Come on now. Yeah. So look, I'm gonna do within the law, but I ain't no fool. And no, you ain't gonna dump all the people that you don't want on me.
Right.
Like, no, that's just not how it works. That's not fair. And you're putting an undue burden on the city of Camden. And I'm sick of it. You know. Right. So, but in terms of the recreational marijuana thing, I will say we put the cart before the horse with medical with the recreational marijuana. The reality is the people that you want. First of all, we as a community need to talk about how we going to clean up the backgrounds of the people that got trapped up in the drug game behind marijuana. That's the first discussion our community needs to have.
Right.
Because when we clean those background, because the reality is, I don't care how much recreational marijuana and how much money it makes, the people in Camden that got drug records behind selling marijuana ain't gonna be able to participate in it with a record.
Right.
So unless we first had the conversation about how can we clean this brother's background up, because this is who I want to be able to take advantage of this. So that's the first part.
Right.
The second part is, to me, it's recreational marijuana it's a business. It'll be licensed by the state, and and it'll probably take a lot of the sculliness out of at least the weed part of Camden. I mean, think about it. The president of the city council's grandson was murdered over $60,000 in weed.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I mean, that's real.
That's real.
So I mean, so I think anything that we can do to take that incentive away, I think
I got you. Woo! Listen.
Yeah,
got some other stuff we can simmer saute on you.
Yeah, we gonna switch. We gonna go a little different than the drug thing. Yeah. Okay. I want to know about our municipal government and our public works. Like, do you have any plans on cleaning this city up? Because we got a lot of abandoned homes, lots, cars, and the roads are atrocious.
Well, so there's a couple of things, and I got hit with this because I have a house. Neighbors complained on me, and they said I had to clean it up. Public Works, without my knowledge, goes out, cleans it up, and then tries to charge me for it after I had already cleaned it up.
Right.
I'm sitting here like, well, look, Public Works, if you have this service where you're gonna clean up lots, you should have just asked. You should have just asked me. I would have paid you up front.
Right.
I think. I think in terms of cleaning up the city, there's a lot that needs to be done. I think I think that one of the things that you have to do is you got to get code enforcement and code inspection working. Mm-hmm. And once you get code enforcement and code inspection working, and you're finding people, and people is, once them fines start hitting, and you start putting levies against people property taxes, right, all of a sudden these things are going to start cleaning up, and people are going to start paying attention, and you're going to start generating the revenue that you need to do other things. But right now, because the property tax office doesn't really function the way that it should, mm-hmm, that's where all the pressure came to take over the finance department to basically generate the revenue to do some of these things for the city of Camden. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, yeah. Theo, man, we want to appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. Thank you for dropping some gems. What's that?
I love the platform, fellas. Have me anytime.
Yeah, I'll be
officially announcing my candidacy in June 8th, mm-hmm, when all the petitions are due. Okay. So you'll see my name on the general election ballot.
Okay. All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Theo.
Theo Spencer.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, Theo Spencer, man. We appreciate you. Best of luck with everything, man.
Thank you so much.
Much success to you, Theo.
Much success, brother.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Oh, that was good.
Oh man, good stuff from Theo, man. Good stuff from Theo, man. Tamika Wilcox says, great conversation. Best wishes, Theo. G. Hole says, Theo, you have a very huge chance as folks aren't victorious in the primary. He also says, that's a smart brother there. I debate him though.
It was not just a smart brother. He's a smart ass brother.
Oh man, what happened to my brother? What happened to?
I don't know.
Yeah. So now it was a great conversation. If you can go to Just Our Thoughts on YouTube, go to our Just Our Thoughts on the Facebook fan page, JOT with the fellas. Follow us, subscribe, like all our content. We are trying to bring those that are interested, those that are able to hang out with us, that may be able to get some of their time in. To talk about what's going on in the city of Camden, and we're getting a lot of feedback, and it's great, man. It's good to be able to get that information out there. Yeah. So, fellas, that's what's up, man. We good, man.
We live in the age. We live in the age where information can get out very quickly and disseminated to the masses, man. Yeah. And I hope that we kept people up to date on some of the things that's, happening in the city that we are from and that, we live in. Right. But, glad to have this platform so that we can share, and so that these cats that's running can really let them know what it is that they're running for.
Yeah. Right. Especially for all our viewers that, viewers and listeners that know someone that doesn't have or are able to get on and listen to us.
Right.
Help them out. Take that show over to them.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? We need your help too out there.
Absolutely.
To spread the word.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Continue to share and share this with those that are are about to vote that aren't informed. KD, who we got next Monday, man?
We got Felicia Reyes Morton. She's on the ballot for the primary as well. Mm-hmm. So she'll be on with us 7:00 next Monday to give us her vision, her platform, her background, and what she desires if she is elected mayor. So we're looking forward to having her on.
I'm looking forward to chatting with her. I'm not familiar with her, so looking forward to meeting the young lady and having a dope conversation, fellas. Man, another dope conversation, another great podcast. This is what we do. Shout out to our brother EB, who's not with us today, who had some other stuff, that he had to take care of. What you got, Katie? You can say something, bro.
No, you ain't wanna. We're gonna.
Yes, sir. I'm calling you. What's that?
Well, no. I know we just wanted to hit real quick on Jalen and C Webb.
Yeah.
Just real quick.
No, you got it.
We had we had found out that C. Webb and Jalen, after many years, had kind of mended fences. C. Webb's inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. And we know him and Jalen part of that epic Fab Five from what, the mid 90s that was?
92.
Yeah, early 90s. Yeah, early 90s. Because they're our age. That's right. That's 91, 92. They're all they're they're about 48. So it's been since that the scandal that kind of rocked Michigan, where C. Webb was under investigation for receiving money from a booster. Courts was involved. I believe that he didn't he wasn't honest about what happened, and it messed up the history books as it pertained to Michigan basketball, NCAA records, and the coach at that time, Coach Fisher, I believe it was.
It was.
He even, had received some fallout from that, even though, it wasn't his fault. So, Jalen was one of the ones out of that Fab Five that was really outspoken about what happened, and really the the valid reasons that he had for, not really wanting to mend things with C. Webb because of what it cost them from that time. So I was just looking at, what transpired just in, I think, the last week or so, how, they were able to come together, mend fences, especially around a time that's celebrating C. Webb. He was an analyst for TNT, doing a good job, revived his career and things like that. So, to kind of see the two of them connected and linking up after all those things happened, 30 some years ago, right? It was good to see, especially with black men, black men not staying angry at each other, black men moving past things, even though you got a valid reason to be mad, a valid reason to be angry.
It was
still still being able to accept and open up. Go ahead, Keith.
It was right off of, I know Jalen, he just lost his mom and his grandmother within the last 90 days. So it's interesting that you bringing this up. I was watching Jalen a couple weeks ago on ABC on a Sunday, and they were talking about the name Jalen and how when the Fab Five was together, that name, it's just stood out for a lot of people. He was playing NBA ball with people that started naming their kids Jalen. Think about
Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. Anyway, but the thing was, he was very emotional on that Sunday, and it's amazing to see. Yeah, it was Mother's Day, and it was amazing to see. Right after that, him and C. Webb, men, whatever it is that they had between them, I think it's dope, man, to be able to, go back. What's that? That's almost 30 years ago.
Almost. Yep.
Jeez.
Hey, but my question is, like, what prompted the, for them to amend their relationship? Was there like an apology, or was there like, did somebody step up and say, look, we need to squash this?
Yeah, I'm unsure. I can't even say that an apology was given. Sometimes in certain instances, especially what Keith brought up when Jalen lost family members that was close to him and his mom, and he really shared that on national TV. So when you go through those really emotional, tragic losses of people close to you, it softens you to not even, I don't even need an apology.
Right, I don't need that.
I just, let's just, bury this and let's just pick up where we left off. You know what I'm saying? Because that makes you look at things differently when you lose people. It's like, use this time wisely and let's just, pick up, repair this, and be the brothers that we was. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Does the relationship supersede an apology? You know what I'm saying? Like, if when you think of Jalen and C. Webb's relationship, and we really don't know the details, but we know that they were joined at the hip, and that Fab Five team, was joined at the hip. When they've gone through so much, did they really need to apologize, or did they just see each other and know, at that time that yo, it's over with. Things are mended. You still my brother. I still love you. And
I don't know, man. I mean, we could. I understand it. Yeah, you still my brother, but I still need to be like, I still need an apology. Like, yo, dog, I was wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have did it that way. Mm-hmm. I would accept it a little bit more, with the apology. Mm-hmm. That's me, just me speaking. Because like, I mean, if I'm, it might be a little bit different, but if I'm done wrong, I need you to actually say like, yo, man, my bad. But in that situation, I can understand it was a little different because C Webb was trying to, provide for his family at the time, but and then it did kind of put a damper on Jalen's career and the rest of the Michigan's career.
Yeah.
Their legacy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I still think I really think C Webb was like, yo, man, it was my bad. I should have been, honest about the whole situation back then. I really think that came out.
Yeah, but maybe not. Maybe C Webb reached out to him because he knew that he lost someone close to him, and just
that could
support. If I lose my mom and my brother that I ain't talked to in a long time just comes to hug me and be there.
But you know what?
Me. Let me just finish this point. Just to come there and comfort me. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That speaks volumes. More so than an apology could ever do. Just that being that person of that will reach out to me in one of my most lowest moments in my life. That shows that the love is still there. We can chop it up down the line. If we need to clarify that.
But you know what? That's an apology
to me.
It's not an apology.
It's not. I mean, it's not an apology.
In a way, it can be. It's like, look, man, I'm really pouring out my heart to you. I understand things are pretty bad for you. So now I'm offering some condolences, some moral support for you.
Yeah,
that could be an apology. I mean,
that's a show of comfort. That's a show of comfort that you really want to be there for that person. That's not really the apology. It's two separate things. But it's to really show and demonstrate that I still got your back. Your loss, your hurts me as well. You know what I'm saying? That's a show of empathy. Putting yourself in someone else's shoes when they're going through one of the most lowest times of their life and wanting to be like, I would want somebody to do that for me. Good book says, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you.
That could replace an apology. Think about it. He could have just sent them a text saying, my condolences, but he went above and beyond that.
I don't know. I'm just speculating. Mm-hmm. I'm just speculating. I don't know what he did, but I'm just saying if that was done, that can be the catalyst to open up the dialogue needed to revisit whatever it was to separate them. You need a springboard to kind of move you in there. Let him grieve. I mean, Jalen got to grieve. He showed how emotionally hurt he was on national TV. You know what I'm saying? So he's going to need time to grieve before he can effectively prepare himself to kind of chop up almost 30 years of a problematic relationship with his boy.
Right. So Ward, was he hurt? Was he broken?
Was he broken or was he hurt?
Was he broken or was he hurt, Ward?
No, I say he was hurt.
Right.
Because like in my opinion, if you're broken, then that affects a lot of things. Then you're like your life is kind of like at a standstill. He never stood still. He went on and had a very good NBA career.
Right.
Both of them. And they both are now broadcasters. So, to me, no, it's they're hurt. Yeah. And the hurt can linger. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they were broken now. Smart ass.
I think Jalen showed how broken he was from the loss of mom. Mm-hmm. that was something that, he showed everyone that tuned in how broken he was over losing his mother.
Right.
And his grandma.
See, I got a problem with that word broken, man.
But let me finish. What? But I think the difference is that the thing with C. Webb more so hurt. I mean, both of them mean that something's been damaged. If you're thinking about broken, if you're thinking about hurt, both of the words is pointing at the fact that something's been damaged and there's some work of repair that needs to take place.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes it's just semantics that we're dealing with, but in essence, they both mean that you've been damaged by something that hit you hard and hit you heavy, so it's about the repair process after that with his mom, that, that's a devastating emotional hurt. With the relationship with him and C. Webb, I'm sure it's an emotional hurt that he had at the time, but the depth of it may not compare to the loss of his mother. When you lose somebody near and dear to you, that can cripple and paralyze you
your life
from wanting to move forward. People fall into states of depression for days at a time where they'll just sleep, they won't eat, they won't get out of bed, they won't wash their behinds. And that's broken. To feel like you cannot move on or get up or function in life because of the tragedy that has happened to you. With the hurt, that may not be the depth of what you've experienced, in that realm of brokenness. So there might be a distinction, but they both mean that you've been damaged and there's some work of repair that needs to be done.
Yeah. Good stuff, fellas, man. Good stuff, man. This is just our thoughts.
This is just your thoughts.
This is just our thoughts. With the fellas, again, go to our all our streaming services. Mark Boyd, holla at us, Mark Boyd. I hit you up. You never responded. Maybe a couple months.
Look at Alyssa. You see Alyssa?
I saw it.
Put her thing up there. Put it up.
I put it up. Hurt and broken. But
okay.
Yeah, I put it up. Go to our streaming services. Download our podcast, write a review for us, continue to communicate, interact with us. We thank everybody for joining us and, spending their time with us this hour, 31 minutes on this Tuesday evening. We back Monday. Well, who? Professor Kevin Kev.
Felicia Reyes Morton, candidate for me. I just moving closer, getting that headshot in. Yeah, Felicia Reyes Morton.
This guy crazy.
Camden Mayoral candidate.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Look at that shot.
This is Just Our Thoughts with the fellas. Thanks for joining us tonight. Peace.
Peace.